Right, it's Lambo Sports featuring the Big Brother, featuring Silent Sports Network. You can like, comment, subscribe to Totem Pole Nation. If you need your merch, go to totempolenation.com. It is in the bio on all the social medias, and it's in the bio on our YouTube page. If you go to the About section, you got all the links in America. All right, the Eagles have dominated the Dolphins. Tua passes for a low, I think, of like 219 yards. That's just like career low or something, or career low for the year. The Eagles, despite a lot of injuries, or 216, my bad. Eagles, despite a lot of injuries on defense, they stopped the run. Raheem Moisture, I did not get a lot of fantasy points from him last night, but I still won my fantasy league. They held the Dolphins to 45 yards rushing. They passed for 216 yards, which is like mid, but Tyreek Hill had most of the receptions. There's a lot of fumbles and stuff like that. Tua threw a pick as well. Tua turned the ball over, even though he throws one interception. The Eagles continued dominance. Jalen Hurts did throw a pick six, which is awful. But the Eagles, they ran the ball for 279 yards and threw the ball for 279 yards, and they ran the ball for barely 100, but they could not stop A.J. Brown. So there we go. A.J. Brown was the main vocal point. I know he begged to get the ball more, but the Eagles' defense stopped the high-power offense, held to 17 points. Now, I think the Miami Dolphins are a very good team, but as you see, they're 5-2. They had to be able to beat good teams. They got smacked by Buffalo, and they got smacked by the Eagles. So we see that against good teams, they're not really competitive, and they beat all the sorry teams. What are your thoughts on this game? And is Jalen Hurts a MVP caliber quarterback, or is he going to possibly win the MVP? Of course, he's in MVP. Is he in MVP talks right now?
No, no, I don't think so. I'm just reciprocating vibes that I got all of last year and all of the offseason. He's tied for the lead in the league with 8 interceptions. He's tied with Jimmy G when it comes to most interceptions in the league. So just off of that point and off of what I was hearing all off season about how the interceptions, blah, 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 like this guy's not elite because he throws all these interceptions. Dog is tied for first in the league so far with 8 through 7 games. So, I mean, I don't think he's an MVP caliber player right now. I think as overall as a player, when you say who are some of the top QBs in the league, you definitely say Jalen Hurts. So I'm not hating on him, like in terms of what he can do on the field. But I think, based on the question that was asked, is he in MVP talks right now? I would say no. Josh Allen, I feel like, has gotten a lot of flack this year for not, performing to the elite level that I think he's the standard he's held at, even though he turns the ball over more than anybody else in the league. And with that, Josh has 15 touchdowns to 7 picks, whereas Jalen has 9 touchdowns to 8 picks. And Josh is throwing 3% higher. He's at 70.7 compared to Jalen's 67. And these are good numbers. He's 6th in the league in yards and stuff. But when it comes to the interceptions, and then would you consider right now Josh Allen as an MVP candidate? No, I don't think exactly. That's my point exactly. So when you look at Josh, who's having a better year so far than Jalen, and both of us would agree that Josh is not in that MVP combo right now, I don't think it would be right to put Jalen in it. But that does not mean that I'm saying that he sucks or that he's a bad quarterback or anything like that. But just saying, we got to keep the same energy when we're critiquing quarterbacks out here. And, I will, considering what I heard all off season and all of last year and stuff. So, but when it comes to this game, like what you said with the Dolphins, They've played two like really competitive teams, and they weren't competitive in those games. There were moments last night where you thought that they could bring it back, be competitive, but it didn't happen. It fell apart. The Tyreek touchdown that was taken away in the first quarter or second quarter,
Wow.
whatever, that was big. That was huge. I feel like that was similar, not the exact same momentum swing, but going from a touchdown to a field goal in a game like this is huge. And I feel like the momentum kind of died a little bit with it, similar to the Penn State defensive touchdown getting overturned. I think it killed their momentum. And in this game, I feel like, like the beginning was very competitive. They were going down there and were going to score. And I'm pretty sure take the lead. It was going to be 7-3. But it ends up being 3-3. And the offense just can't get really going outside of that, minus Tyreek. Cedric Wilson had a pretty nice game too, old Cowboy as well. Jalen obviously got hurt. Waddle, at least that's unfortunate. But in my rankings, in my W list last week, I had Miami at second or third, I think, just because of how explosive this offense is. But it's the second time now that we've seen them just not be able to operate at the level that we expect them to against teams that they're going to have to see, whether it's like in this case, Philly, that's a very real chance if they were to make a run that Philly is the team that they could see in the Super Bowl. I'm not predicting Philly makes it to the Super Bowl, but I'm just saying it's a possibility. And then with the Bills, they're within the conference, so they're going to have to play them again, or within the division, excuse me. And then in the playoffs, I mean, both of us, I would assume, are expecting both of these teams to make the playoffs, in the Bills and the Dolphins. And if this is how you play a division rival, if that's how it's going to go, then I don't have much faith in the Dolphins making any sort of noise in the playoffs when the number one offense in the league can't compete against like a competent defense. They put up 70 against the worst defense in the league, but then you go against the Eagles, who their secondary was hurt. Obviously, they got Slay back, but they had two other injuries in the secondary, and you couldn't do anything with it. And Darius Slay can only do so much. It's not like he's following Tyreek Hill everywhere because there's other weapons on that offense as well. Now, the run game, yeah, I think that was pretty easily predictable a little bit. I mean, they allow like 60 yards a game, and I think Mostert had, 45 or something like that on 9 carries. And the reason that he had to get, or the reason he only had 9 carries is because they were playing from behind because they couldn't get the damn offense going in the air to get down the field. So when you're playing a defense like this, I feel like complementary football is the most important thing. Like the run game needs to help the pass game, and the pass game needs to help the run game. And I feel like neither one of those were the case. Like if Tyreek is the only thing that's really popping off on your offense, he is like this year and last year, like the best wide receiver in football. So don't get me wrong. But if he's the only thing on your offense that's cooking, it's not really forcing them to do too much when they know our only threat is Tyreek. So if you as long as you, and obviously it didn't happen, but if you can just put 2 guys near him, you can still put dudes in the box and prevent the run. And it's what they do best. And it's what happened on, last night.
All right. Well, the Dolphins play the Patriots, so we'll see how that goes. We'll predict that on Wednesday. But on the final episode of the night before Monday Night Football kicks off, recap of Week 7. Will Kyler Murray return to play for the Cardinals this season? That'll be a big, huge financial decision. If that does happen, and Bill Belichick is his 300th career win, that's the third head coach with 300 wins behind, I think, George Halas and Don Shula. He'll eventually pass him at some point in time. I will discuss the Bill Belichick stuff. But next, on Lambo Sports, we'll talk NFL. Hope you can like, comment, subscribe, and buy the merch from TotalPoleNation.com. We will catch you next 5 minutes for NFL Recap.